Now, on to the filter. Now, right off the bat, we need to talk about the fact that this filter on the OB-6 is a 12 decibel per octave filter. That means that its cutoff slope is more gentle than the cutoff slope that happens in the Prophet 6's 24 decibel per octave filter, which is to say the frequencies above the filter cutoff point are attenuated much more rapidly on the Prophet 6 than on the OB-6, which means you're going to hear some of the frequencies that exist above the filter cutoff point on, or more of them, on the OB-6 than the Prophet 6. And we're going to find an example of that here in a moment. Let's have a listen to these two filters. I have both synthesizers set to a sawtooth wave, and we're just going to run through a filter sweep. Okay, I'm all the way, the filter cutoff point is all the way down. If you listen, there's still a sound. And why is that? It's because some frequencies still exist above the filter cutoff point. Now we hear absolutely nothing because the cutoff slope is much more steep and none of those frequencies exist, or at least that we can hear, above the filter cutoff point. There's always a little more high-end frequencies in the 12 decibel per octave as compared to the 24 decibel per octave. Let's hear a filter sweep with a resonance at halfway, which of course is going to vary because resonance behaves differently on a 12 decibel per octave filter than a 24 decibel per octave filter. So having it straight up on both of them actually places the resonance at different points, as we're going to see. But let's have a listen. Really quite a stark difference. The Prophet 6 is more smooth and milky, and the OB-6 is more, I don't have an adjective for that, but it's definitely more aggressive. Let's turn it up to the point of filter oscillation. Okay, now let's do a filter sweep here. And the same over here, except for we have to keep in mind that there is no filter oscillation in most 12 decibel per octave filters. You have to go do some extra tricks to make that possible with this arrangement of filter. So there is no filter self-oscillation on the OB-6, but you do get a sound like this. And I know what you're saying right now. You're saying, hey, I can hear stepping because I hear individual notes. But those individual notes are not stepping. Those are actually harmonics. The resonance is boosting the frequencies at the filter cutoff point. And when we're up in the high frequencies, where the individual harmonics that exist in the sound are really close together, we don't notice it as much. But when you get down to the lower end of the harmonic series, near the fundamental, the frequencies are pretty far separate in some cases, an octave, a fifth, a fourth. So they become much more apparent as we do a filter sweep. We're actually hearing it emphasize individual harmonics as we do the sweep. So really, we've got two different kinds of filters with two different kinds of sounds. Now, we also have a high pass filter. Let's have a listen to that. We'll open the low pass filter completely up on the Prophet 6, and we'll set this to high pass filter. Turn the frequency all the way up. Turn the resonance all the way down. Okay, so here's the high pass filter on the Prophet 6. Now we're still hearing sound, and do you know why? Yes, that's right. The high pass filter on the Prophet 6 is 12 decibel per octave. So it's not going to attenuate all of the frequencies. And we're going to have a similar thing over here, but it sounds quite different. So those are, although they are both 12 decibel per octave high pass filters, in the instance of the OB-6, it is the filter in high pass mode as opposed to a separate filter in its own, in the only mode that it does. So that's going to have a really substantial difference in when you're modulating the filter, because we can modulate the high pass filter alone and not the low pass filter. And we can't have a high pass and low pass filter at the same time on the OB-6. So if you're going to modulate the high pass filter, you're modulating the filter in high pass mode. So that is going to create some pretty substantial differences that we'll hear when we go into the filter section in later videos. Okay, here's another thing that's really important. Bandpass. Now, bandpass is when you have a situation where a high pass filter is taking out some of the low end and a low pass filter is taking out some of the high end, and you get a band of sound like this. Now, on this 12 decibel per octave filter, that's what's happening with our bandpass, and it doesn't matter what our setting is over here. And the frequency places that band of frequencies within the spectrum of the sound. And then when we press resonance, it emphasizes and narrows that band. Now that's quite a bit different than what we have happening on the Prophet 6. Obviously, we don't have a bandpass setting, but we can create a bandpass effect by using the low pass filter to take out the high frequencies and the high pass filter to take out the low frequencies. And then by messing around with the cutoff frequencies of the high pass and low pass, you could find something similar to this filter sound. But you have to realize that then if we're going to modulate this, the modulation is going to be really considerably different, because this is a single filter that you're modulating, and the modulation is going to affect it differently. And you have the opportunity to modulate different things separately. Like on the Prophet 6, you can modulate the high pass filter independently with polymod, while you're modulating the low pass filter independently with the low frequency oscillator. So you get a whole different sound than you would on this particular synthesizer. And on the OB-6, we have the opportunity for the notch filter, which kind of does the opposite thing. Instead of creating a band of frequencies that you move around the spectrum of the sound, you create a notch in the frequency. You attenuate frequencies, and you can move that around. And this, the Prophet 6 does not have a setting for that particular effect. And so that's a completely different sound. And